Houston, we still have a power problem? Plus, Megan Good's new role in Divorce in the Black, and Usher attends the Chicago Sky versus Las Vegas Aces game, while Terry McMillan presents her Lifetime movie rollouts. Hey, critics, and welcome back to the Critic Chronicles YouTube channel where you get commentary reviews and tabloid news. I'm your host, Patricia Hartley. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. It's Thursday, July the 18th, 2024. Hey, critics, it's time to chronicle. Up first, let's talk TV, y'all. Well, we got the Sherry Shepherd show, and this morning, Barbara Cochran is going to be on the show. She's the Shark Tank host, and she's going to be talking about that brand new season that's going to be coming up there on ABC. And we have Tamron Hall. She's actually hosting a pretty fun week. Hate that I'm getting here so late to tell y'all about what's going on the talk shows. But listen, today, the beautiful, the accomplished, the Academy Award winning Angela Bassett, she's going to be stopping by Tamron Hall to talk about her brand new Netflix film and new season of her show 911. Plus, Martin actor Carl Anthony Payne, he's going to be stopping by the show to talk about the Martin reunion and, of course, his NAACP nominated show. And let me talk a little bit about the Jennifer Hudson show before I continue on. Today we have Chef Carla Hall. She's going to be on the show with a cooking demo. Y'all, I love a good cooking demo. Do you hear what I'm saying? I love a good cooking demo. And on Friday, Boris Kojo is going to be on the Jennifer Hudson show. And he's going to be out promoting his ABC drama series, Station 19. Now, you can, of course, watch all of these daytime talk shows by checking your local listings. And before I continue on, I got to say, I don't know what's been going on in terms of the debacle that, of course, they say Tiffany Haddish made a comment about an interview that Common did saying that he's going to marry Jennifer Hudson. Now, Tiffany and Common used to actually date, but they're no longer dating. And apparently, I guess the same thing that he's telling Jennifer Hudson maybe could be the same thing that he maybe told Tiffany Haddish. But whatever the case may be, y'all don't listen. Don't you be publicly acting like she don't mean that for real. But she basically made a comment under um something saying that she hopes that Common basically follows through to marry Jennifer Hudson, but some people are saying she's just being sarcastic. Whatever the case may be, don't be coming and telling it in public like that, Tiffany. Put it in a book though, because we'll definitely read about it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And let me tell you and say this. I'm so glad that I actually came back today. Forgive me, I missed y'all, but I had some things that I had to handle. So thank you so much for your grace. Happy birthday though to the fabulous, the ever so iconic Wendy Williams. Happy birthday, girl. She turns 60 today. I hope that you're celebrating in the best way that you can in whatever condition that you have going on. I definitely am keeping my ear to the street as it pertains to the latest of what we hear about your condition. And I hadn't heard anything that's been accurate as of yet. But happy birthday. I hope that all that can be well with you is. And happy belated birthday as well to Malia Obama. She turned 26 on July the 4th. And happy belated birthday to little Kim. She turned 50 on July the 11th. Now, some man, I think it's Antonio Brown or somebody out there, apparently that little Kim has been caught out there kissing. Gone, Kim. Kiss who you want to kiss, girl. Kiss who you want to kiss, girl. So I guess you and old boy ain't together no more. Okay. Okay, we can't keep up. Do we need to though? I mean, we keeping up enough because I do know that y'all were caught. He was being a little affectionate and you look like you were loving it, girl. And not just from a fan. I'm talking about from a man. Oh, let me get at your business. And speaking of business, let me get in the business of LeVar Burton. He has a brand new show. Congratulations. It's going to be coming out. It's going to be this October on the CW. It's going to be called Trivial Pursuit. Now, the famous Reading Rainbow host and author posted photos on his Instagram a few days ago confirming the news. And of course, we look forward to seeing him take that seat. And just a side note, I really thought that he was very well suited as the replacement host on Jeopardy for, I think it's Alex Trebek. Now, something silly, but I wonder if maybe LeVar considered maybe stepping up his fashion game, like when he went on to the Jeopardy show. I know that that's not something Alex did. He kind of stuck to like some of the, I want to say bland colors, but safe, colors, the grays, the blue, right? But I'm saying like step it up, get a checkered suit, add a pop of color onto the little, you know, um, scarf there that goes, what is it, the part that goes in the pocket? I'm not overly fashionable. Get you some gold cufflinks, whatever it is that you do, when it comes to fashion. I'm just saying, maybe that could have like stood out just a little bit. I didn't have a chance to truly watch you the full week that you were on the show, but from the clips that I saw, I did think that you did a good job. I will say that anytime you're doing something like that, and especially when it's live, or if you've ever hosted anything that's live, it's a hard task, y'all. It's a hard job, and I can only imagine a show like this where you have to be super accurate with all of the answers and just kind of like you're going back and forth, and you always have these three contestants, and it's a game show, so there's a different sort of hosting mentality that comes along with the game show. So what I am happy about, though, congratulations, LeVar, because you are getting to host your own show, Trivial Pursuits. And here at the Critic Chronicles, our goal is to provide quality but juicy content from websites, digital magazines, and tabloids, most of which are sourced from our public libraries. Research from the National Library of Medicine show that there are an estimated 17,000 public libraries nationwide, totaling 4 million visits each day. Public libraries are civic organizations that are committed to providing invaluable resources beyond books that are free and open to the public. Get your library card to access thousands of resources today. You know what time it is, y'all. It's time for critical news that you can use. Now, Houston, it sounds like we still got a power problem. Is that true? As we know, Hurricane Beryl, which made landfall and left last week, left many without power, and unfortunately, they may not get it back on until they're saying Friday, and that's looking like tomorrow. Now, that's according to an email that was sent on Sunday, July the 14th, says the HoustonChronicle.com. Now, while 2,218,000 or so customers as of 12:30 p.m. Eastern time on yesterday had power that was restored, there were still thousands, around like 43,000 customers that still remain without power. Now, CenterPoint Energy does have a tracker on their website for the latest updates. And once you reach the CenterPoint Energy website, you can hit that electronic outage tracker. It's like a baby blue color bubble, and it shows you the latest outages. Now, I will say that I heard that there was a lot of debris, a lot of lines that was covered in trees, things like that. This is a rather long period of time to be without power, and business owners as well as customers, family that I know that live in particularly the Harris County area, they are super frustrated, and folks who have businesses are actually taking legal action. Now, it does look like at first it was probably around maybe five folks or five restaurant owners, excuse me, who maybe was taking place in the class action lawsuit. But it's my understanding now that it's been extended out to about maybe 100 or so restaurant owners. It may be continues to grow. Now, according to ABC 13, this class action lawsuit would be against the electric company CenterPoint Energy. Many business owners have been left without power for a week, and they're coming together for this lawsuit. And what they're saying is basically the company didn't do their job properly, and they didn't prepare for Hurricane Beryl. Now, the lawsuit is going to focus on restaurants that have been in business for over a year and they lost power for at least 48 hours. So those are some of the parameters it looks like they're working within as it pertains to this particular lawsuit. And when I say I have family members who have been without power, so I have family members in the Harris County that have been without power for at least 4 days or even longer. So that is very disturbing as it pertains to that, because according to some of the business owners, it's believed that the infrastructure that CenterPoint has in place for their customers is just not proper, and that company, it just don't know their their own grid to prevent things like this. The lawyer, or should I say the attorney that have been called to this case, is Tony Busby. And it sounds like small business owners feel as if they are being pushed around, and they say they ain't having it, baby. If the lawsuit is won on the side of the owners, they would be compensated for the time in which their restaurant was without power, and to the workers who went without compensation due to closure. So good luck to the businesses in the lawsuit. Take note, Centerpoint Energy. This is not a good look. What I'm not clear on though is if there is funding for Centerpoint Energy itself, like if there was some sort of a relief, excuse me, that they may have received over the years that maybe they didn't use wisely in order to do something about the infrastructure. And this is no excuse at all, but I have heard, y'all, that Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, that area right there is growing rapidly. Like it's one of the most rapidly growing areas in America, if not, about to be one of the largest. I think they're calling it some kind of a triplex. If they're calling it the triplex, I don't think Austin's included in that. But like that Dallas, Fort Worth, slash, I'm putting that right there. Then you have the Houston area right there too. It's just, it's growing rapidly, so it may be hard, y'all, for them to keep up. But either way, good luck to everybody as it pertains to that. And hopefully, all power can be restored, as it said in the email that was sent to the customers on Sunday, by tomorrow. And singer Brandy is back. She's back with a new movie on Disney Plus. It's called Descendants: The Rise of Red. The movie held a big event at the Walt Disney Studios lot in California. The singer and actress plays Cinderella. She played Cinderella, if you remember, 30 years ago. Whitney Houston was her fairy godmother, you remember? Oh my goodness. That was also an amazing soundtrack. Talk about a great soundtrack. Um and you can see a photo in one of the online articles in which Rita Ora is also pictured with Brandy. Rita Ora plays the role of the Queen of Hearts in the movie. And in the movie, Brandy's character is married to her Prince Charming and living life together happily ever after. The movie is now streaming on Disney Plus. And speaking of just kind of television and watching things. Terry McMillan, she's back out in the game. If you don't know author Terry McMillan, let me go ahead and remind you. She's behind some of the best things like our Waiting to Exhale, how Stella got her groove back. I wanted to talk about this because this was prior to me getting here on YouTube, but back in February, Variety.com reported that Terry McMillan teamed up with Lifetime for a new series of movies under the banner Terry McMillan Presents. Now, she's known for her novels, as I said, The House Stella Got Her Groove Back, which was then turned into a movie, Waiting to Exhale, which then turned into a movie. But it seems like this partnership with Lifetime is going to focus on love and lives of African American women and serve as part of Lifetime's 40th anniversary. So the latest, latest, I think this is the first, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So the first movie of Terry McMillan Presents is actually going to be called Tempted by Love. It's going to premiere on Saturday, August the 17th. Terry will be leading as the executive producer alongside Garcelle Beauvais. Joining the cast are Leela Rashawn and Emmy winner Loretta Devine, which also reunites the two because they were in Waiting to Exhale together. Yes, 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 and yes, yes, yes. Deadline.com reports that the world-class renowned chef living in Europe rushes home to care for her elderly aunt. This is basically the sort of the summary of the movie. In Carolina, after she suffers from a fall, once she arrives home, she finds a connection with an unexpected love, and of course the rest is probably history, and there's nothing but probably a story that comes from there. I'm looking forward to the release of that film, therefore I can talk a little bit more about it. And speaking about talking a little bit more, on this past weekend I gave you some breaking news as it related to past president Donald Trump, and now unfortunately a convicted felon. Well, there was apparently a attempted assassination that has now garnered a little bit more information, or should I say news. And the report is coming out that he was grazed with a bullet, as I said, at his campaign that was going on there in Pennsylvania on this past weekend. Now, one person was killed at the rally. That person has been identified as Corey Comparator on is the name of the individual that was actually killed. And then there were two individuals who were harmed and listed in stable condition. Their names were or are David Dutch and then James Copenhaver. They were seriously injured. The officers took the gunman down, the individual who was doing the shooting, within minutes of the shots that were fired. And I heard when I listened to the video, and forgive me because I realized the audio, y'all, just was not, it didn't do it justice. And it was just because it was a little scattered. I thought it at first, I was like, did I turn my something off on my equipment? But it wasn't that at all. It was just a little bit low in some of the areas, and you couldn't quite hear the crowd as loud, so forgive me for that. But when I would listen to the video, y'all, I heard anywhere from 10 to 12 shots, and I could be wrong on my shots, but that's my range. I heard anywhere from 10 or so to 12 shots during that video. And according to the Associated Press, the young man, now we know as Thomas Matthew Crooks, did have some odd behavior at the rally that did get the attention of officers and security, but the young man disappeared off the radar. I believe it was so much so that they even took like a picture, and the picture was kind of floating around between some of the officers and the security guards so they could be on the lookout. But again, the young man disappeared off the radar, so they didn't know where or what was going on. So around 6 minutes into the speech, in which former uh 45th president was giving the speech, Thomas Crooks, using a AR style rifle, opened fire and injured two folks, killed one, and of course, injured as well Trump. So the FBI said that they were going to investigate this, and as a potential, I guess they're trying to determine what is it, are they going to label it? Is it a potential act of domestic, terrorism? And the reason why I guess they don't want to clearly say that, they're saying, is because of the absence of a clear ideological motive by the man shot dead by the Secret Service. But again, unless that there was some kind of note, will we ever really know? So are we going to always call it the potential act of domestic terrorism? Anyway, many folks spoke out about the act of terror and political violence, including President Barack Obama, and some other individuals. I will say that since the story has kind of evolved since the reporting of this past weekend, it's really more into the investigation side of things now, because the Secret Service is now facing some serious questions about the way the suspected terrorist act was handled, and has called for congressional investigations over its handling of security around the rally. Um, and speaking of rally, this has not stopped at all. The 45th president of the United States at all. This man has continued to do what he do, and has even announced his running mate for vice president of the United States. And continuing on with that in terms of that Republican National Convention, Amber Rose, she's been catching heat for her speaking there at the Republican National Convention. And, of course, I think the heat comes from folks that's probably not necessarily on the side of being a Republican, but also the fact of what this woman has stood for as it pertains to women's rights, and actual clips that Lovely T has posted on her YouTube channel of her saying that people like, Trump and Weinstein, and that they've had violence against women, or grabbed a woman by the PUSSY, like things like that, that really are vulgar things that's against women. They're just kind of surprised to hear her speak out about it. And I would say that it's only the folks that's opposed, but to be transparent, there's actually some folks who are on the side of the Republicans who say, why would you waste time putting someone up here like her at such a pivotal moment in the during the campaign trail? Well, Joy Reid also spoke out about the model speaking at the campaign, and shared the fact that although she does not identify as, biracial, it is maybe, excuse me, she doesn't identify as Black, she is biracial. Just let me be clear about that. It's a little she has come up though through I'd say Black culture, right? When you think about who she's dated, folks like Kanye West, and when you think about, the shows that she's been on, like College Hill, you think about, right? You think about things like that that gives the impression that it's deeply, rooted into Black culture, especially somebody like a Kanye West, who actually has her in a rap song, right? All the things. So all of that to say, folks, both sides, I think, were just, they had an opinion about, Amber Rose speaking. Now, I don't think that should be the focus. I think the focus should be on the fact that we got a lot of political violence that's going on, and it seems to be on the rise. Time.com reports that there have been several high profile attacks, including against Vice President Mike Pence, who was targeted as well on January the 6th, 2021. And that was actually indirectly kind of the faults that was the fault of Trump and those supporters against his own folks there. And while law enforcement has yet offered a motive for the assassination, I do believe that this is a major concern as we see white supremacy and a political divide. It's a continuous political divide as it always has been, but there's a different tension that seems to come with this particular political divide for some reason. And while I will not promise that I'm going to keep up with on the campaign trail, I just wanted to give a little bit out there of, what's going on as it pertains to this. I will refer you over to the Lovely T's channel. She gives a good rundown of sort of that language and conversation between Amber Rose and then sort of Joy Reid, and then helping to sort of iron some of those things out. But my concern over here on this channel really is more of, I hope that we don't continue to have more political violence. Folks are kind of giving even um a hard time to President Biden just because they say that he was diagnosed with COVID-19. And I think it's really more of better safe than sorry. And not necessarily like, oh, I'm gonna spread it over to people, but just kind of like just because of the violence. That's my belief. That's a speculation only. I do not have no inside of the FBI, the Secret Service, on none of them. I ain't got no inside yet. Not yet. I'm just playing. I'm just playing. I don't have an inside, but I will say that maybe this is actually a way to more of a protection than it is necessarily a health concern. And it definitely can be both, right? But it can definitely be more of one than the other too. I gotta put it out there. And congratulations to my girl Ashanti. She celebrated her baby, not with just one baby shower, but two baby showers. But the first baby shower, though, it was a double I call it double the fun, right? But Ashanti's first baby shower was a surprise, and it was held at the Dolce & Gabbana Children's Boutique. She apparently thought that she was going to a photo shoot, says an article on abcnews.com, but it was the shower from her, what they're saying is now husband Nelly, but some reports are still calling him her fiance. Ashanti, help. I mean, okay. In attendance was Fat Joe as well as designer Simone I Smith. I love her jewelry, by the way. Shout out to Simone. She's the one that's married to LL Cool J. Lick your lips, lick your lips. I have to say that the article reported, of course, Nelly was there as well. Ashanti's fiance slash husband. Um, on the married license, they say it's in St. Louis County, and they supposed to be coming out with a reality TV show. That's what I'm supposed to be talking about, is the fact they're coming out with a reality TV show, apparently. But the second baby shower was surrounded by family and friends in Huntington, New York, reports BET.com. And in a caption and video to Ashanti dancing along to Nelly's hit single Ride With Me, welcoming baby Haynes with the caption, everybody welcome baby Haynes. Congrats again to Ashanti and Nelly. And if you have a reality TV show, I'm going to watch it. In terms of the reality TV show, I have to say that resource specifically came from Jasmine Brand .com. She did report that information regarding Ashanti and Nelly's reality TV show. And speaking of TV and shows, let's talk a little bit about the show that's here on Netflix. Now, Netflix actually turned me on to this particular series, really is what it's called. It's called Sprint. Now, it talks about the Olympics, and I think it's one of those amazing shows to just kind of watch before the Olympics comes on, which starts, I believe it's on July the 26th. And as we approach it, there's several different, I think it's about 6 or so episodes. They talk about Sha'Carri Richardson. Sharika Jackson is on episode number 2. Noah Lyles is on episode number 1. And there's so many other different athletes, but they talk about the journey of these athletes and kind of like what they go through and, sort of like their mindset, their mentality, where they are, what they do, where they do their workouts at, what it looks like when they're chosen for different heats and all of the things. So I think you should, if you get a chance to check it out, I think it's worth watching, trying to get through at least maybe one. It's not hard to get through because if like I know back in the day, talk about a body, yaddy, yaddy. The girls who used to run track at the Olympics, those were bodies to have. Like that's a body, yaddy, yaddy, yaddy. Shout out to those girls. Shout out to the Olympics. I don't know. It just seems like a very exciting year. You got the Olympics this year. You got the presidential election is not always, the most exciting, but the truth is the past few years, y'all, we've just it's just kind of been popping, because history has been made. And again, um, we keep going through some of these historical moments as we've been alive, especially if you're a millennial. And it's just like, you know what? Let me just embrace this and just talk about the mess, because the mess ain't gonna stop. It's just gonna keep popping, right? The mess don't stop, so why should I? And side note, I got to talk about this. Um, I saw this a while ago though. Simone Biles and SZA teamed up. If you don't know, of course, we know who Simone Biles is. We know who SZA is. Singer, actress, well, about to be actress. Um, well, I watched. They had this little NBC Sports where they captured like this classic moment between the two. And apparently, SZA used to want to be an Olympian. She wanted to be a gymnast specifically. Um, and it turns out that they end up doing sort of like a handstand competition together where SZA ended up winning. And this was like a moment in like their wildest dreams. And I think seeing them together and just it was a great moment for history as SZA had a chance to really just kind of speak life not only into Simone, but Simone speaking life into SZA as well. And um excuse me, Simone preparing for Paris, where she will be competing. She's won 37 times. She's a 37-time winner. Is that 37 awards? 37 Olympic medals? Shout out to Simone. Congratulations, sweetheart. And speaking of congratulations to the Chicago Sky. They won last night's game against the Las Vegas Aces, 93-85, to enter the All-Star break on a high note. Angel Reese now has the second most double-doubles by a rookie in WNBA history. Tina Charles has more with 22, according to Stat Mamba. And Usher was in the house as a witness to the Sky's win. And y'all, he was looking smooth, and I love to see it. I'm so glad, y'all, that women's basketball is finally getting the recognition that it deserves. Usher went to the back of the dressing room to meet the Sky team after their win on Tuesday. He basically dapped the team up, took photos. Just want to send a congratulations to the Chicago Sky on their win over the Aces. Now, Usher, speaking of him, he's been nominated for 3 Emmys for his Super Bowl halftime performance. So congrats to him for that. And that leads me right into the upcoming WNBA All-Star Weekend, where rivals Caitlin Clark, well, they call them rivals, but y'all, they've been playing against each other for a long time because they've been in the same sport for a while. So they've seen each other a lot. I think we're just excited for the fact that they are here with each other and they're going to be playing on the same team alongside each other. And the roster also includes Aaliyah Boston of Indiana and Alicia Gray of Atlanta. Congratulations as well are in order for Miss Angela Simmons. She has a brand new product and collaboration that she's doing with Black-owned restaurant Slutty Vegan. She just released plant-based fried Oreos. Now, I saw this story first on Angela's Instagram page where she appeared in a tub full of Oreos. However, Essence did a whole story on the Business Boss. On the Business Boss, this girl has been bossing it up since she was on the show with her parents called Rev Run's House, right? That was such a wholesome show. We see you in a wholesome light, Angela. I know it ain't right. I know you're probably like, girl, I want y'all to see me as this. But we see you so wholesome. We see you as so wholesome. Embrace it. Embrace it. Nothing's wrong with it. Actually, and I saw nothing wrong with the commercial that you did for it, except I just wanted it a little bit more diva. Like when I say a little bit more diva, like, be extra with it. Like somebody else should have, I don't know, there should have been a fan blowing your hair. Somebody else should have been feeding you the Oreo. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should have seen, like, I don't know, drops from the sky, a rooftop view. I don't know, but I just thought that it should have been maybe a little bit more like that, but I didn't see nothing wrong with the concept, of what you had, but a few people did have something to say, but, in the article, actually, that was done by Essence, they talked about working with Pinky and Slutty Vegan and how amazing that has been for you and for the masses of folks. And you say the new treat is going to feature your cake mix, which is going to be a product that you launched. I think you launched it back in 2023. The report continues saying that the mix can also be used to make vegan waffles, funnel cakes, and pancakes as well. Now, the initial rollout will begin in New York City locations, and by mid-July is expected to land in Atlanta. Now, I am so excited just kind of about this partnership. I think that these are both great business women, especially when I'm thinking about it like that, and I'm looking forward to what generates as a result of this partnership. Now, y'all, it's been almost 2 weeks since Kendrick Lamar has dropped a video for his Not Like Us hit, and it also already garnered about 60 million views. The famous scene of the community coming together is featured in the video, and it starts off with a brief intro and Kendrick needing a password to get into the room, and the rest is forever. It's going to forever be history, y'all. You know what? Knock, knock, knock. And then it starts up. All right. And speaking of starting up, it's a lot of mess that's been starting up, but I'm going to start with the movie. Before I start with the mess, I'm going to start with the movie. Congratulations are in order for Meagan Good. She has just come out, of course. They've just released the new Tyler Perry movie, Divorce in the Black. Now, I watched the movie and it wasn't bad. The story centers around Ava, a young bank professional who is devastated when her husband Dallas abandons their marriage and demands a divorce. She gives it to him, baby, and he still ain't happy. Now, the movie has a very slow start. I have to admit that, but still okay. And as always, there's room for improvement as it pertains particularly to the writing. If you have Amazon Prime, you can check it out there. And speaking of checking it out, I guess Lonnie Love definitely checked it out because she had a lot to say as it pertains to the movie. It looks like the movie scored 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is essentially sort of a website that does assessments about movies. And if you score a low score, right, it means it's not that great. But if you score a high score, like that's really impressive. Well, Lonnie Love accused Perry of not investing more in Black writers and directors. She said the following. She said, I love that Tyler Perry is paying Black actors now. I wish he would hire Black writers and directors that have experience to help him with his movies. Now, that's what she tweeted out. That is probably also as a result of the fact that Meagan Good said that this was the highest she's ever been paid for a movie. Like she's finally being paid her worth. And this isn't the first time I've heard someone say that about Tyler Perry. I believe it was also Taraji P. Henson that said that this was the first time it was the first time she had gotten paid. I think it was 500 grand or so, like for a movie, and it was through a Tyler Perry movie. So additionally, I believe actually Corey Hardrick, which is the young man who plays Dallas, who is the ex-husband of Tia Mowry, he plays that role in the movie. He says also that this is, I believe, the highest that he's ever been paid. And shout out to Meagan Good for looking out for Corey because I believe she's the one who actually brought him into the project to play the actual role of the movie. So shout out to that accomplishment. And I gotta say that the fact that they can say that and that they were finally paid their worth, that is what I love hearing the most about this movie. I know that there's room for improvement, but what I love to hear is that people feel like it was worth their time. And there's nothing like knowing that you're being paid what you know for a fact that you're worth and more. Now, some don't consider Megan to be an A-list actor due to her range. Now, she is very appealing to the culture, let me be clear. But I'm a selfish fan, and I was kind of digging the Megan that she gave when she was with her ex, when her and her ex-husband, Devon Franklin, first filed for divorce. And she was like, Miss Good, if you nasty, the before Jonathan. And while relationships is not my wheelhouse, I will say that I'm gonna switch gears here just a little bit because I want to talk about the hug that I saw online that Michael Ealy gave to Meagan Good that everyone thought, oh my gosh, Jonathan Majors feels a type of way about the hug. Now, I have to say, Robin Ayers over at the Raw Report, it is KBLA, that is their YouTube channel. She actually had the guy who captured the video on her show, and he says in the actual interview with her, hey, I captured the moment of Jonathan and Michael Ealy embracing. And then, once that was over, Michael then embraced Meagan. That part wasn't necessarily caught in the video, but Jonathan and Michael did embrace prior to him engaging in a hug from Megan. Now, if you saw the video, you already know that it wasn't just any hug that was embraced. It was Michael Ealy just kind of not only embracing Megan, but just kind of like picking her up a little bit. But she's she's light and petite, y'all. She's light and petite. But he just kind of like hugged her and like just did a little pickup, and she kind of was like, oh, and kind of held her hat. It was very dainty, but let me not be extra with it. Let me just not cause any more commotion that's already been created. It's good if you're nasty. But I'm gonna say it like this. What folks was really looking at is the fact that after Michael gave Megan that hug, then Megan looked over to Jonathan, and Jonathan would not give her any eye contact. So that's what people saw. I think, yes, people may have misconstrued the fact that Michael and Jonathan embraced, but what they truly saw was the interaction or lack thereof that Jonathan did not give Megan afterwards. After Michael basically put her down and he embraced her for that particular hug. Not only that, but of course, critics noticed that even when they got ready to take a picture all together, Jonathan, Megan, some other folks that was also included, Michael Ealy as well, that Jonathan didn't embrace Megan. Instead, Megan had to actually put her hand on his shoulder. Now, excuse me, his arm. Now, that could be something that's a little bit petty, but I want to take and remove all of that. I want to pretend like what Megan posted and said later on afterwards, that we was taking it out of context or whatever the case may be, and that Jonathan was okay with all of the things and yada, 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 yada. I want to pretend and say that this is a woman of a certain age. She knows what she's doing, blah, 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 blah. This is what I am going to say. This man has a history of behavior. And the MVMO channel actually brought it to my attention. There's an article in the New York Times, and it's also a resource. Did y'all know that the New York Times is a resource through your public library? Baby, all you gotta do is sign up for it. It is a little bit more of an in-depth process. Like, you literally have to go to your public library, put your information in, look for the New York Times resource, go into the New York Times resource within your public library, put in your email information, or excuse me, sign up for an account, and then access everything via your email. But once you do all of the things, it is a process, y'all, okay? Once you do all of the things, you're good to go, and you basically have access to the New York Times. But whenever I Google the New York Times, most of the time they'll only give me like a percentage of the article, and then I have to then either guess what else happened or look for the information on another source. But just to let you know, check with your public library and see if the New York Times is a source there for you. But in the article that was written in the New York Times, the author is Melina Rizik. Hopefully I'm saying the name right. She spent 4 months interviewing people across the country who worked with Jonathan Majors, and it turns out that he did in fact lie the about not striking a woman. In fact, he had 2 relationships prior to fame, in which one woman by the name of Emma Duncan described him as controlling and accused him of emotionally abusing and physically abusing her, choking her and throwing her around. Okay, that's what she said. In interviews with former colleagues, it also was found that Mr. Majors had a history of volatility on the set of HBO series Lovecraft Country, which was one of my favorites. I loved that show. So, in my opinion, next level. Like, it combined like a little bit of like black magic and sort of like the future of um just history that was like back in the day, along with like magic. And it's kind of very like, I don't know, Harry Potter-esque, if you, and I'm not even a Harry Potter person. Okay. But apparently, on the set of the HBO series Lovecraft Country, he has been seen having confrontations with other female coworkers that led them to complain to the network. He has a history also of love bombing, calling his ladies Mrs. Majors, and while still incorporating that manipulative behavior that feels like love and leads into even more manipulation. So the hope is that, yes, there has been change, but as you know, the MVMO channel has said and stated, it. I don't know if there was enough time in between relationships for there to truly be a change within Mr. Majors. So there's definitely more to come as it pertains to this particular relationship. And to be honest, I hope that all of the folks that are saying negative things about it, I hope that it is something that is wrong and that everything works out and y'all live happily ever after. But until then, unfortunately, people are going to continue to scrutinize that particular relationship just because of how it began and just the history around this man's behavior, particularly with women. All right, y'all. If you missed the previous breaking story that I did regarding former president and now convict Donald Trump, you can catch that I have linked it below. And in the video, I talk about more breaking news as well. Additionally, thanks y'all for tuning in to the Critic Chronicles YouTube channel where you get commentary reviews and tabloid news. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.